Welcome back. This is episode 6. Today we have Sage Steele coming in from ESPN. I think she's on the East Coast. Looking forward to this one. Have always been a fan of SportsCenter. I remember as a kid waking up at 6 and watching it, with Dan Patrick and all those guys, and it was unbelievable TV. I think it's changed a little bit. I look forward to talking to Sage about that. She's been opinionated on a few different topics that are probably hot right now. Not sure if she's going to dive into them. Don't really want to pressure anybody on this podcast to voice their opinions on some of these things, but if they're open and willing, I'm more than capable and willing to talk about them and see where they kind of land, because there's some things out there that I land in the middle, and there's some things I land on the left, and there's things I land on the right. So we'll kind of see if she wants to dive into that, but she's went to Indiana, lived in Indiana for a little bit, I think up towards Indianapolis. So, I grew up in Southern Indiana, so we've got that going. Other than that, I'm not sure where she's going to go with this one. So these people that I don't really know, I get a little bit nervous doing these podcasts with, just because you want it to go well. I want it to be a good one, but you never know. But Sage is a professional. I mean, she's got an awesome personality, it seems like. So I think it's going to be a good one. That being said, check out Instagram, Twitter, send anything, send good, send bad, if you want us to get somebody on the podcast, let us know. We just I was tweeting about finding a Bigfoot expert, or someone that truly believed in them, and we located one. So that's going to be coming later in October. We found a guy. Don't really want to say his name so someone else doesn't steal him from me, but excited about that. We've got some other stuff in the pipeline. So if you have somebody that you think would be awesome, any walk of life, I'm actually kind of stretching our legs a little bit and expanding. So it should be fun. But let's get Sage on now, and let's dive into this one. Here we go. Uncut with Jay Cutler. We got Sage Steele of ESPN. As of now, looking at your resume, though, it's just page after page after page of impressive. You've been everywhere.
Careful. Watch how you say that.
It's a good thing. You're in demand.
No, thank you. Or I'm just old at this point. But yeah, that's the boring stuff. I mean, honestly, okay, I'll say this. This ESPN thing was my dream since I was a little kid. Like, I was 11 when I said, this is what I want to do. So what it took to get here, and I've been here for almost 15 years, which is scary, but yeah it's a blessing.
I saw, so you a military family, Army.
Yep.
And then I saw you ended up in Indiana. That's where I grew up.
Well, I know this. Okay, that's my job to know this about you.
Yes.
And so, but you have more of a twang than I do, for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were in Belgium, Greece, and then Colorado Springs, which is nice, and then you got transported to Carmel, Indiana. And
okay, maybe it's going to be more impressive if you describe to people what Carmel, Indiana is. I moved there my senior year of high school. Like, I'm not from there, but we were military, and Army moved us to Fort Benjamin Harrison, which used to be outside of Indianapolis. It's no longer a military base. So senior of high school, I moved to Carmel, Indiana, and it's not exactly the most welcoming place, right?
Yeah. I mean, just outside of Indy, right?
Yeah, suburban Indy. It's the fancy.
Yeah, it's come up now. I mean, it's very affluent, I think, at this point, and it's. I'm sure there's a bunch of private schools and everything there. But I mean, I haven't been back to Indiana in a while. Did you? You probably never. I don't know. Was Holiday World there down in Southern Indiana? Have you heard of that?
Yeah. What is that? Why is that ringing a bell?
It's an amusement park.
Like roller coasters and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like a Six Flags almost.
What's the one in Ohio that we used to go to?
Cedar
Point or something?
Cedar Point. Yeah. That's exactly. I never went there. It was too far for us.
Yeah, I mean, you're a small town. You're a tiny town, though.
Tiny town.
which is honestly one thing I love about that state. Yeah. There's so many small towns, And the people rip on us, right? And again, I'm kind of from nowhere, but I claim Indiana because I ended up going to IU. But the people in your state are friendly and welcoming and kind. And like, I love the Midwest for that reason.
Yeah. And I mean, Tennessee, I tell you what, I live in Tennessee now, and Tennessee has a little bit of that Midwest vibe. I always think it's like kind of a mixture between like, Alabama, Mississippi, and then you get Kentucky and Indiana and Ohio. Yeah. So it's got a little bit of a blend. So since
you're more the South. Yeah.
Yeah. We're a little bit more South. And I think going now, people are moving from everywhere. So it's, I don't know what's happened. We got LA, New York. We've got an influx of outsiders, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens the next few years. But you said since 11 years old, you've known that. Did you want to be on ESPN?
Yeah, well, at 11, I think ESPN wasn't like a household name then. But so my dad played football, and I'm the oldest of three. I have two younger brothers, but they're both athletes. I was a wannabe track star. It didn't really work out, but senior at Carmel High School is as far as I got. But no, here's the thing. Since my dad played football, he played in Army. He was actually drafted, Jay, by the Detroit Lions.
Was he?
In the 17th round in 1970. Wow. I know. But back then there was no, like, you couldn't petition, the Pentagon to get out of your 5 years of, active duty that you had to do. So he ended up being a career Army officer, but like, he was a big old school tight end back in the day, and, my dad was my hero, and he still is. And so on weekends, that's how we bonded, especially when we lived in Belgium and in Greece, where there was one TV station that people spoke English. So that's what we would watch. And on weekends, what was on? Dallas Cowboys was the game that they always tried to focus on. Yeah. Lakers, Celtics, whatever. So we bonded by watching sports. And then he would, quiz me and trivia. And so, the older I got, and then I was always more friends with guys because of the sports thing. Mm-hmm. And so literally I knew that I wasn't going to be a good enough athlete to do anything past high school. So I said, I think the second best thing would be to talk about it and to tell stories. And from a young age, I knew that I was fascinated by people like you, like mentally, how do you have that mental toughness when all the eyes of the world are watching you, whether it's in the Super Bowl or in the Olympics or whatever? To me, I was in awe of that mental toughness, and I wanted to know what made you tick. So that's how it began. Yeah.
That's crazy. So you went to college, you said you went to IU. I mean, you knew probably more than most of the guys there about sports and everything. I mean, you were on top of it.
I tried to.
Yeah.
I tried to. Plus, I thought it was a good way to meet hot guys when I was, 18, 19. Yeah. And so it didn't really work, but it was fun to, at least I was up on my trivia and stuff. But it was funny because, this is a long time ago. I graduated from IU on the 5-year plan in 1995. So it was a long time ago, and there weren't as many women trying to do this. Now they're everywhere. Yeah. And so, which is a good thing. But because of that, the guys were like, you want to do what? Mm-hmm. And what's your major? Yeah. Why? And then they try to test me. But it was good. It got me ready for what was to come, which was definitely a lot of people who weren't ready for it are very welcoming, for sure.
I'm sure.
But that's okay. And I was this super shy kid, which people don't believe now, but really, really shy. And it was like I had to push through that and figure out how to not be so shy and insecure and open up and, smile on national TV, even if I didn't feel that confident. Yeah. It forced me, when these guys challenged me, it forced me to say, okay, wait, you're going to let them push you out, or you're going to go for this dream? Even if you fail, I knew I had to try.
Well, and then your first spot was South Bend?
Yep. Which made me, so now I hate Notre Dame. Listen, I'm a good Catholic girl, but Notre Dame, having to live there and cover them, I'm like, they're just like any other program. It's just people put them on this pedestal, whatever.
Yeah, I don't understand why they just can't join a conference at this point.
Because they're Notre Dame. They're elite, right?
What was your favorite and least? Was Notre Dame your least favorite stop before you got to ESPN?
1,000%.
Really?
Because, and it wasn't Notre Dame. See, that sounds bad. Now I'm going to have all my Notre Dame friends hating on me. It's just because it was in South Bend, Indiana.
South Bend's brutal.
It's the tundra, the frozen tundra.
Yeah. There's
nothing to do. It's gray for 8 months a year. And then when you're 23 and trying to hang out.
Uh-huh.
Where you going? So we'd go to Chicago, but that would take like my entire month's salary was gone in 2 days. So I didn't get, but I wouldn't trade it for the world because and by the way, I wasn't in sports then. They didn't have room for me. I just took the job that was offered, which was like this trainee position to learn how to edit and write and produce and do all the behind the scenes stuff, which I'm thankful that I did because like eventually they put me on TV because somebody called in sick one day and they needed me to do something. And I was like, or needed something. And I raised my hand and from there on, like I never looked back, but I mean, I was making $18,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And so I was on TV during the day.
Yeah.
And then I was waiting tables at night, like at Colorado Steakhouse, like a Outback type.
Yeah.
And so I would go up to the tables and they'd be like, how do I know you? Weren't you on TV? And so it was very glamorous to be living my dream. But then, okay, yes. How do you want your steak? Medium rare? That's red in the center. Are you good with that? So it was like, no one can ever tell me that I didn't like work my way up.
Yeah.
I will say that I think every single human should have to wait tables at one point in their life because that's how you really have to learn to deal with people, Yeah.
I never waited tables. I would say the toughest, I had some bad jobs. My toughest, I was on the back of a trash truck for one summer. And so that.
Really?
Oh yeah. We just rode around in the back, like holding on in the back, just picking up trash. It was me and another guy. His name was Eric Palmer. Great dude. But
okay, if I could have video of you on the back of a trash truck right now, I would pay for that. Not to put on ESPN, just for me. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we would just cruise around. It was actually fun because I mean, you're just in the back of it. I mean, you're just hanging on, and it was kind of whenever they first got the mechanical arm. So you just put the thing on there. Use a little mechanical arm. But, every once in a while you'd get, some broken bags, some maggots or something. But it wasn't. And I was done by 12 or 1, so I could go play baseball or whatever in the afternoon. So it was actually kind of perfect.
Wait, how much did you make per hour?
Oh, I mean, I think at that point, minimum was probably 5 something. But I think I got paid more, like 7 or 10 or something like that. Is my guess.
That is classic. That is classic. Guess. But everybody has to have a job like that, I think, to appreciate. And I have 3 teenagers, and I have a son who I'm like, get out there, and it's a fight, Yeah,
I mean, my parents made me pay for my car insurance, so I had to make enough money in the summer to pay for my car insurance so I could drive. So I didn't have an option.
So don't you think that's fair? So with your kids, you're gonna do the same thing?
Oh yeah, yes. I was going to say it's probably more for cars these days, but minimum wage is through the roof too, so they'll be fine.
Oh, I got no sympathy there with the minimum wage these days, right?
Oh, it's like we're getting close to $20. I don't even know. So how nervous were you the first time you raised your hand and you got on air, or were you prepared at that point?
No, I was scared to death. I was terrible, Jay. Like if someone pulls up those tapes someday, I'll die. I mean, actually, maybe I'd get more credit. Like, wow, she's actually come a really long way.
She came a long way.
Terrible. I will say the most nervous I was like a year later. I got my first sports job, which was in Indianapolis at Wish TV, the CBS there. And so my first day on TV doing sports, like the whole dream, was it was the beginning of April because it was Final Four weekend, and Final Four was in Indy, and we were the CBS affiliate carrying it. And like I'd never done a highlight on TV. I'd done nothing. Like I had no business being in a top 25 market, but I mean, I had interned there after college and kept my connections, and it's who you know, right? And then they knew I'd come for cheap because I got a huge raise from $18,000 a year to $22,000.
Ooh.
So I was like, dude, I've made it. Like I can die and go to heaven now. But it was Final Four weekend, and I think in the half an hour leading up to like live TV, I probably was in the bathroom 5 or 6 times. I threw up once. Like I was so scared, but because this was it. This is what I'd been building for my whole, youth. And now I'm getting the shot, and if you screw it up, you're done. I screwed it up, but they had to keep, I was under contract at that point. And I actually have a mentor now. He was on that set with me. He was the news anchor, and we are doing some work together now. It's amazing. But we talked about it recently, and he's like, sweetheart, because he's much older. He's like, you were fine. You talk too fast, but obviously I still do.
Yeah.
He's like, but you figured it out, and you just go and you were okay being yourself. And that was the key. It was just such a scary beginning. And I got to interview Coach K that weekend, my first ever, but because my dad and Coach K were classmates at West Point. So I had a little in. I think that's probably why they kept me.
Okay. And then, you eventually ended up at ESPN, but like, was it tough getting jobs being a woman in that field? Or did you kind of figure it out and I don't know how you did it, actually. You can tell me.
Well, no, it was tough. And especially because remember, this was like, I was in India in like 97.
Yeah.
So I was really, I was the first woman in that market. There would have been no minorities doing sports in that market either. And Indiana's come a long way, but Indiana in some ways was still Indiana then. You know what I mean? They're just not as accepting of people who look different. That's what the issue was at Carmel High School. 2,000 kids in that high school, and I was the only Black student.
Yeah.
And they let me know, like, it was definitely a tough time in my life. But again, prepares you for what was to come, which I had no idea what was to come. But little things like just going in locker rooms for the first time.
Yeah.
And so the Colts that was the first team I covered. And Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback then. And that was his captain comeback those years when they played the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, and he almost brought him back. And I was there 98 draft when they drafted Peyton Manning. It was this whole debate, Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf, what do we do? So I have some awesome memories from that first sports gig. And then, I also was with the Pacers. And, I loved my IndyCar, my Brickyard. I love NASCAR because of my time there. Dale Earnhardt Sr. was my first ever NASCAR interview, and he brought me into his trailer to teach me about the sport.
That was like the heyday of NASCAR there for a little while, too.
Oh, so good. And Jeff Gordon was coming up in the rainbow car, I just literally, listen, there were some guys and some players in particular who made it difficult.
Sure.
And if I think back on some of the things they said, but I didn't know any different. And what are you going to do? Like, I had no one to tell. And I actually didn't care, Jay. Yeah. Like, and women now would probably have a problem with me not caring.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, I get it with Me Too and all that. But at the end of the day, like, it was new.
Yeah.
And I don't think people were malicious. They were just being stupid guys in the locker room. So I would laugh it off, and then I would ask the question anyway.
Yeah.
I did have an opportunity to break a story once, and there was a fullback named Roosevelt Potts, and he was just, God, Rosie. He just,
I remember that name.
You do? Oh, I shouldn't have said it. He was, like, I had the story, and he was like, okay, scratch the name. Anyway, there were players who were like, yeah, I'll give you that information, but what are you doing tonight? Like, if you come to dinner with me, then I'll give you this. And oh, by the way, at 20, however old I was, 24, 25, no one had to tell me that probably wasn't appropriate for me to do that.
Yeah.
Like, then you're done. Once you're that girl in a locker room situation with coaches and players, like, you're done. And your credibility is gone, even if you are good at your job and serious. So I had to find ways to nicely, like, blow it off, but then still ask the question. And eventually people stopped bothering me.
Yeah. It was, the culture was different. I'm not saying it was right. It was definitely wrong, but it was definitely a different culture, even whenever I got in the NFL to whenever I left the NFL.
Yeah.
Involving women in the locker room and just the acceptable behavior and, how you treated people. It was just and you're a few years before that, so I can't imagine the difficult conversations you had to have with some of these idiots.
I laugh. And you know what? One of the more memorable ones was with Warren Sapp. When I went from there, I went to Tampa. And so that locker room with Sapp, and then Keyshawn came and Jay, like, and it just, it was like, again, I could laugh about it because it was almost expected. And again, that's not what anyone would expect now. And it would be headlines and social media buzz. But it just is what it. Here's the thing. There is a fine line, and I handled it. Like, I didn't get anybody's, because that's not my wasn't my personality then. I might now a little more, But I do think as women, we need to be responsible as well. It isn't just on players and athletes and coaches to act a certain way. I mean, I've had talks with young women who like would come in and they'd intern with me, with our channel, or just other women who reach out to me now. And I've said to a couple of them, they're like, well, would you look at my tape? Would you do this? And I've said, listen, I would love to, but the way that you present yourself is not something I want to be associated with.
Yeah.
So when you dress like that,
yeah.
I'm not saying you deserve the gross comments, but you know what you're doing when you're putting that outfit on too.
Yeah.
Like women are smart. So don't play coy and put it all on the guys when and again, I'm not saying anybody deserves anything.
Yes.
But we need to be responsible as women too, because we know what we're doing when we put certain things on and then return a certain text. Or you expect somebody's not going to see you if you go to dinner with this guy? Like that's on us.
That's so true. And as a society with social media and everything, like we promote it and we make it seem like it is okay. And there's certain situations where it's definitely not acceptable or professional, but like it is tough. I mean, I couldn't say that it goes both ways, but I mean, you as a woman, you can definitely say it. So I'll let you say it and I'll just politely agree.
And I will say it again, but I mean it. And again, I have 2 teenage daughters. Like I struggle. And one is a freshman in college and one's a sophomore in high school. And then I have a senior in high school son. And he's in the middle of these 2 girls. And he's like, Mom, what is she wearing? I'm like, I know. So we're late for school the other day because I'm like, go upstairs. Take it off. It's not happening. Now, who knows what she does when she gets it? Probably puts it in her bag and changes in the bathroom. Like, I don't know. But I think it starts at a young age. And we have to be accountable too. And so we want everybody else to be. You got to look in the mirror first. And it isn't a popular thing for a woman to say, but it's the truth. Yeah,
true. When did you let them get on social media?
Well, I feel like I failed as a mom in that way.
I'm sure that's not true.
It just got harder and harder.
Oh, yeah. It seems like they start younger and younger too.
They do. Because TikTok is promoted on ESPN. Like it's just everywhere. But the thing is, okay, you're on TikTok, great. But then there's layers to TikTok. And then, I'll hear the music. And so I'll walk upstairs and she and her friends are in front of the camera doing all of these gyrations. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, anyway, to answer your question, like, obviously I struggle with this. I think my oldest, she was 15 when which is a little bit older, when I let her on, what was it? On
Twitter, maybe? Snapchat, gotcha.
Snap was a little bigger then because we had moved back to Connecticut from Arizona, from Scottsdale. And then the only way to stay in, kids don't text their cell phones anymore.
No.
Or like, it's not a text message. No. It's through Snapchat.
Yeah.
So if I didn't let her do that, she wouldn't have been able to keep touch with her friends. So I did that. But once you do it for one, you're screwed. Yeah, because the other kids are like, well, what about me? So my youngest, she's definitely maturing the quickest. But I honestly feel like there's no way to truly control it. You can say, oh, I'm not gonna let my kids have a cell phone until whatever age. Great. But if they're going over to the Y to play basketball and they need, me to call and say, hey, I'm going to be late. Or they call me, where are you, Mom? There's not a phone in the lobby anymore. Yeah. They have a cell phone. Yeah. What do you do? Yeah. I take their phone a lot. And then, so I'm evil for sure. And I'm definitely the tougher one. My ex-husband, he lives about 5 miles from here, but he's like, lets him do whatever. Yeah. And I'm definitely more like my military dad, you know? And I just think we have to be okay with being not liked by our kids.
Sure.
And that's tough for some parents.
It is tough for some parents, and it's not a popularity contest. You're the mom and the dad, and kids do. I mean, there's studies like kids need boundaries. I mean, they just do. Like if you don't give them boundaries, they're going to lash out, and they're just comfortable in boundaries. So it's hard with mine because kindergarten, second, third, and like they already have laptops.
They do.
They have laptops from school. Because last year with school being out so much, there were so many Zoom sessions that they got laptops, and so like they know how to do YouTube. They know how to do all these things. So I'm just unplugging the Wi-Fi. I'm like, hey, we don't have it, guys. We don't. If you want to do homework, I'll plug the Wi-Fi in and we'll do it right here. And it's a constant struggle because like there's kids that are talking about YouTube and there's this whole YouTube sensation for kids. And I've watched it a couple of times with them. And I'm like, guys, like this kid's opening a box right now. He's just opening up a toy and you're just watching it. So
you can put I don't even know the word, like little monitors on it, like blocks on certain things.
Yep.
But then they're going to get a little bit older.
Yep.
And Mom, I'll get a note from the teacher saying, listen, you have too many restrictions on it. They need to access this. And so I'm sure that's legitimate, but unless you stand over them 24/7 while they're doing homework, because they could be on on this laptop doing homework, but then what's that Chrome opened up to? And even if, and this is what I'm learning, honestly, a lot of years ahead of you, you can do everything right as a parent.
Yeah.
And they're still going to do what they're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really freaking hard. And I'm literally in the middle of something right now. And I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, because they have good hearts, but they're still going to do stupid things. You just pray that it's not too stupid.
I totally agree with that. Like, things are going to happen. They're going to get in trouble. They're going to make mistakes. You just want to try to limit those mistakes in a small enough area that it's not something that's going to hurt them in the long run. But I don't know, parenting's hard.
It is literally, and it's cliche, it's the hardest job ever. Can I be really honest? Like, I love my kids. I would die for them. I don't like them right now.
Oh yeah.
I don't. I like my older one. Because she's 19 now, and she's gone. She's like, I love you so much, and you're the best, and I'm so sorry. I'm like, right, I know. But the other two, like, I just want to run away a lot, even though I love them. Yeah. So everyone said that was going to happen. I was like, no, I'm different.
I mean, last night, like the two little ones, the 5-year-old and 7-year-old, like, I honestly think that they like teamed up and they're like, hey, how can we make Dad's life a living hell for the next 3 hours?
What do you mean? What did they do?
I mean, just trashing everything. And I think they've got to a point where they're like, hey, you know what? We'll do whatever we want because we're okay with the consequences. Like, we're fine going to our room. We're fine not having dessert. We're fine with, whatever is going to happen. So I don't know. I've got to find another form of punishment, I guess.
Well, do you think, because they probably have cool rooms. So, I mean, but I'm sure you take their electronics. Like, how could they?
Oh, last night I went to a point. I was like, all right, you guys are like, you just have to sit on these 2 chairs. And I put them so they couldn't see each other. And there's nothing there. There's no TV, nothing cool. And I was like, you guys are going to sit here for an hour. Like, this is just what's happening. Because I mean,
how'd that go? Was it an hour?
It was an hour. But like, they gave me a panic attack because me and oldest Camden, we were watching football, and it was like they were upstairs in the craft room, and it was probably 20 minutes. And I looked at Cam and I was like, they're really quiet. This can't be good. So I went up there and they weren't there. I'm yelling for them. I'm doing all the things. Nothing. Go outside, and they have these dirt bikes. Dirt bikes are there. The other bikes are there. I go around back. There's a pool. I'm like looking at the pool. I'm like, they can all swim. Not there. Go in the pool house. Not there. So I go back inside. I'm like, Cam, like, where were they last? He was craft room. I went up there. I'm yelling the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
So I get in my Ranger and I'm like, maybe they went down to the mailbox. If they did, they're in big time trouble. Run down there, not there. They like to go out to this little hill and look out. Jackson says it's relaxing. We're out there, not there. Go back. I'm in the backyard. I'm screaming, and I hear a little giggle. And I'm like, you too, I swear. And they're up we have a tree house kind of in the woods a little bit, and they're laying down like like so that I can't see them. I'm like, I need you two down here right now. Right this second. And I'm sure I didn't say that nicely, but they come down and I'm like, was that funny? Like, did you guys hear me the whole time? And Jackson's like, yeah. I go, you really scared me, and it's not okay you did that. And that's why they had to sit for an hour.
Okay, that's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
How long? Okay, because it feels like an hour. How long?
It feels like an eternity. I mean, it was probably It was probably 15 minutes that I was looking around.
Okay, that's a really long time, Jay.
Oh, I know.
That's insane. How did you not like kick their butt?
Oh, I mean, I got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm glad that they're okay.
No, for sure.
I'm glad. I was really pissed off, and then I was like, I'm glad you're okay. And I had to explain like why, like that wasn't like you scared me, like you can't do that. And then I went back to being mad, and I was like, all right, you get no dessert, and you're sitting in these chairs for an hour. Sit down.
Okay, and that's one that like you can. I think I see a smile on your face, right? Like you can kind of laugh about now or soon.
I can laugh about it now.
Yeah, but your mind goes to them being at the bottom of the pool. Yeah, oh my God, this is scary. Yeah.
Yeah, losing a kid has to be the worst. Have you guys been to Express recently? Express is all new and all about you with a fresh mix of casual, versatile, and super comfortable styles. They have hyper stretch denim, their stretchiest denim ever. Versatile shirts like the breathable, stretch-infused cotton tees made with moisture-wicking fabric, so no sweat marks. Or grab a tropical printed short-sleeve shirt and stand out this summer. They also have tees, polos, and one-of-a-kind graphics. Your favorite tees just got better. Check out their comfortable chinos, joggers, and comfort waist shorts. Better looking than your sweats, but just as comfy. Elastic drawstring waistband for all-day comfort. These are all machine washable. Saves you a trip to the dry cleaners. And don't forget the suits. Breathable stretch-infused fabric. Available in chambray, linen seersucker, and luxe comfort knit. Wear it all together or separately with casual pieces. Express has comfortable, versatile pieces for all occasions and seasons. For Sunday football games, lazy days, or date nights to look sharp and stay relaxed. Shop confidence-boosting new arrivals in stores and at express.com. So you went to ESPN in 2007. Is it true? Is it true in 2004 you passed?
Yeah.
Really? Where were you at?
I was in DC.
Such a baller move.
I was kind of, in hindsight, I was scared at the time, but I had two kids and I wanted a third. Yeah. And so Stuart Scott was ended up eventually being one of my best friends. Yeah. And at the time, we were just getting to know each other. We had the same agent, and he was like, listen, you got to be ready to come here because this place is another level. Yeah. And that includes, especially as a mom. Yeah. And a young mom with really little kids. And so I got the offer, and I was pregnant with my second kid, like really out here pregnant. And so they brought me up here for an interview, and then, you do the whole, let's do a little audition and roll highlights. And then, oh wait, the tape stopped, wink, wink, sorry. Yeah. I'm going to test you to see how you handle it. And I think if I hadn't been like 10 months pregnant, I probably would have freaked out. And I was like, really, that's cute. Okay, let's keep going. Cause I have this baby bouncing on my bladder and I've got to pee like now. So let's just hurry up and whatever. If you want to hire me, great. Yeah. So it just offered perspective. And so I went back home and they gave me the offer, and I was like, not impressed for sure. Even though, again, the girl that was making $18,000 from a military family, just to get paid to do this was honestly like a blessing. And I'll never take that for granted, but it wasn't a great offer. Most importantly, I wanted a third kid, even though I hadn't had number 2 yet. Yeah. And so I said no. And my agent and my parents and everybody are like, are you high? Like, this fan doesn't need you. You need them. Yeah. Nobody says no to them. And I just, honestly, it was like a faith thing where I prayed and I'm like, lead me in the right. And I was never like this. I've always had kind of a strong faith, but I'd never like gone on my knee. I go to church every Sunday. Right. Yeah. But with this, I was like, all right, just tell me what to do because I don't know. Yeah. And this is my dream since I was 11 years old. Yeah. And I just took a chance and thought, if it's meant to be, then they'll come back. And if not, then hopefully I have a healthy family and live the rest of my life having achieved the dream of being a sportscaster. And so I said no, and I signed a new 3-year deal there, and I had a third kid. And then my ex only wanted 2, so I knew I wasn't having 4, cut off there. And I wish I had done it. I wish I had like tricked him into it. Anyway. Okay, that's another story for another day. That's a story with alcohol involved. Okay. And so 3 years later, they called back, and the offer happened to be a lot better. I was like, oh, is that how this works? Got it.
Just tell them no the first time. People want what they can't have.
Totally. And I'm learning that in every aspect of my life these days. I'm like, got it. But I will say I got there and I still wasn't ready. Yeah. because it is such a behemoth and there's so much, and that was before social media. I think I joined Twitter and like they made us in 08, 09 or something, and now they wish we weren't on it, but they made us at the time.
Yeah.
And that was before everything was so scrutinized and before you were ripped for a single mistake on air. And like, you know, if you think differently, you know, I will, like, it's been 14 and a half years. It's been such a roller coaster and some amazing times, but a lot of tough times.
Yeah. I remember, I mean, I grew up watching I feel like the golden age of SportsCenter.
Yeah.
You know, when it was the Impact, all those guys, and, you know, it was fun. It was literally just about sports. And I remember, you know, I would watch it at 6 a.m. It was on like, you know, like at 8:30 or whatever it was. And then I can get 10 and like it. And then at 11 it was on, you know, and that's when you watched all the night games and stuff. And it was, I mean, it's one of my favorite memories, like growing up. And, and, so when did it change? I mean, I feel like you got there kind of right at the cusp of like when it was moving towards more
like changing. Yeah. In what way?
Like, I mean, I think it just got very opinionated instead of it was more just sports based back then. You know, they had opinions, but it was more funny, you know, kind of in jest type of things.
That's a great question. I feel like when I got there in 07, it was still that way.
Yeah.
It was still primarily sports because still social media was just kind of blowing up.
Yeah.
The most controversial thing we had at the time was when cold pizza turned into First Take and it was Skip Bayless. And that was when Stephen A was just kind of coming along and there were some hot takes with that. And that was like during the Brett Favre retirement, like the watch, what's he gonna do?
Yep.
It was during, you know, the Tebow days too, like just a lot of, that was like such a big deal, you know? I honestly think it changed more recently with the political stuff and where we're just going in all these different directions. Yeah. And I think that's the hard part for a lot of people. I mean, I hear it all the time. People tell me all the time and I'm like, I get it. Like we all have opinions.
You're the Candace Owens of ESPN is what.
Wait, where did you read that?
I forget where I read it, but it made me laugh.
Wow. I respect the hell out of Candace Owens.
So do I.
And because whether you agree or not, she doesn't give a crap what you think.
No.
And she's going to say what's on her mind. And isn't that funny though that people have to make those comparisons? Yes. Because we happen to have a similar skin color. Yeah. And therefore you have to, like, that cracks me up. And so, I mean, my kind of roller coaster ride really began like 4 years ago when I gave some opinions. Yeah. And opinions based on, I remember what it was. It was right after Trump was elected and ESPN had posted something about, you know, players protesting in the NFL because it was like the next week after he was elected. Mm-hmm. And people, you know, kneeling or turning their backs or whatever. And I remember, and it was Mike Evans, who I am obsessed with as a player. Like who doesn't, if you like football, you appreciate that game. Yeah. Been on my fantasy team as many years as I can get them. Oh. But I remember that ESPN, and I retweeted what ESPN said. Oh, it was, they reposted what he had said about being disgusted about the election. And I just remember thinking, wait a minute, you didn't even vote.
Yeah.
Like if you don't like it, that's fine. But if you haven't voted to try to change it, then I just don't want to hear what anyone says. Like don't bitch about it if you don't try to do something about it, you know? Yeah. So I just didn't respect that. And I tweeted some stuff. And so that's where my downfall began in the eyes of many. And what I've learned since then, well, first of all, that's when I also started to receive threats, death threats to me, to my children, people saying they hope my daughters get raped, like next level stuff. Yeah. All because I have a different opinion than I guess I'm supposed to for my skin color and my gender. And that's where you lose me, because the hypocrisy in that statement, which I've heard thousands of times, is just, it's almost comical. I don't even get mad because it's just comical.
Did it make you kind of go in a shell and be like, all right, I'm just not going to go down the road of this and just, you know, my opinion, I'm just going to keep everything to myself?
it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it scared me so much, again, as a mother, because I thought, wow, have I put my kids in danger here? Like, I had to have security get involved, and NFL security was checking on some stuff because Grimes, was it Miko, who was the receiver down in Tampa? Yeah, like, she's on another level, and so she came after me. She got her troops coming in. I mean, I was getting it from all sides. Twitter security, like, it was, and so it was just so fascinating that the attacks, who they came from, was pretty fascinating, and it just taught me. And I will say, like, I was pretty naive.
Yeah.
And so that was 4 years ago. So I was 44, and so naive for being 44. But I just, because I always thought that when you're nice and friendly and you work hard, like, people are nice back. Because that's how I grew up. That's how the military is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just not the case, especially in today's day and age. So I think I did go in a shell. And then it was like, I don't care. Yeah. Because if you are attacking me because I'm different, you are proving the hypocrisy. And actually, you don't want race relations better. You just want everybody to think like you. Yeah. And real quick story. When I was on, I used to do a couple fill-ins on The View. And I guess this was even before. This is when Obama was still president. And Barbara Walters, like, ripped me live TV, and then afterwards too, because they were wondering, they're like, why is it so important to you to say that you're biracial? I'm like, because my mom's white, she's Irish Italian, and my dad's black. And I'm like, why not? Like, I actually feel like I have the best of both worlds. Yeah. And I think it's a huge blessing, and why not? And she's like, well, what happens when you fill out your census? I'm like, well, I don't know when the last time I filled out my census was, but if they make you choose a race, she's like, what are you going to put? I go, well, both. She's like, well, you can't. She goes, well, what about Barack Obama chose black and he's biracial? I'm like, well, congratulations to the president. That's his thing. I go, I think that's fascinating, considering his black dad was nowhere to be found, but his white mom and grandma raised him. But hey, you do you. I'm going to do me. And then they put up a picture behind me of my parents and my brothers and me. And I was like, listen, I'm pretty sure my white mom was there when I was born. Yeah. And like, I love her. My white family loves me as much as my black family. And I got killed for that, Jay. And so I still feel strongly about being biracial, because isn't that what we want with diversity? Yeah. So
absolutely.
Ever since I've been that's when they shut me down.
Yeah, my sister is married to a black man, and they've got 2 boys, same age as my boys. And I mean, it's amazing. It's just crazy in the world we live in now of such extremes, and you have to be on one of these extremes. Like, you can't be anywhere near the middle. Or you're going to get attacked for it. And it's just unfortunate because, like, things like that happen to you, and you just don't want to voice your opinion anymore. And that's not the world we should be living in by any means.
You're closeted. Like, you cannot come out. Look at what happened in California with Larry Elder and how he is a black Republican. God forbid. Yeah. In California. What's that?
In California.
Yeah. It's hysterical almost, but I think that's actually strengthened me to continue to see it, continue to be attacked. And that's funny. My mother would, look on Instagram and see the comments, and she'd be like, Sage, please delete them. Please delete them. And I'm like, Mom, I get, as a mother, like, I get it. I go, I can't delete that, because if I delete it, that makes it look like it didn't happen. Yeah. And I want people to know, like, not that it's this awesome thing, but this is what can happen if you're in a bit of a spotlight, a public figure, and think differently. But I will go ahead, bring it. Like, tell me that I'm wrong for saying that diversity of thought is more important to me than any kind of diversity.
And I think that there's more people out there that are in that world that are quiet right now. I mean, I think some of the loudest voices are on both of these edges, and I think that I hope that there's going to be a change going forward of this middle group of people with common sense, of people with a little bit different thought process to move forward and get some strength and some courage and be able to voice what they say.
Too. Yeah, but I don't, and I'm a glass half full person. I don't know that I trust that there's going to be that change because of the cancel culture. I will say that every time I've kind of stood up or just maybe, just pushed.
Yeah.
I get so much. It's quiet. Nobody can say it publicly. I mean, I've had some of the biggest names in sports, in particular in the NBA, who reached out to me privately saying, "Hey, girl, stay strong. Don't let them push you. I got you. Let me know if you ever need anything." And I was like, you know what I really would love is one time for you to have the courage to like retweet me and just retweet the hate and say, guys, this isn't the way. But nobody, and they're all men, nobody's willing to do that. And I understand why, because there is money involved. But at the end of the day, it's not going to happen unless people start to push back in a like, I'll never be hateful. I never have been. I never will be. I'll never like stir the pot on purpose. Candace does that.
Yeah, she does.
Go get it. like no one else.
Yes.
But that's why the comparison is comical, because there's actually nothing really that we have in common as far as how we handle ourselves on social media. But I'm not going to stop, because I also know that number one, my kids are watching. Yeah. And I tell them to stand up tall and stand up straight and stand up for what you believe in. And my oldest daughter tends to be more conservative as well. And that's on her own volition. She did her research, and this is what she believes in and what she's dealt with just at her high school. She just graduated from a very, private girls' school, liberal New England, like
tough.
She got killed, but she stood up. So she's tougher than I am for sure. But I just know that they're watching, number one. And number two, very few times in my life I'm going to say, I know I'm right. I know I'm right with this. With diversity of thought being the most important thing.
That's amazing. Well, it's been a wild couple weeks so far in the NFL, and if you had the right guys in your lineup, you probably had a big week on FanDuel. And if you missed out, you need to get into the daily fantasy game now. And I've got a little hookup for you. Just use the promo code J at FanDuel.com. You'll get a 20% bonus with your first deposit up to $500. Huge thanks to my friends at FanDuel for setting that up for our audience. Just use the promo code J to score your bonus. FanDuel has tons of ways for you to play with your friends. You can set up new lineups every week, so you're not stuck with the same players all season. And there are a ton of different game formats to pick from. You can even just play private matchups with your close friends and earn some big bragging rights. And it's going to be another big week. I'm anxious to see how the Bears do as they roll into Cleveland to take on Baker and the Browns. A historic rivalry between the Packers and 49ers take the stage on Sunday night, and the Eagles at Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Lots of guys who will put up big numbers in those games, so head over to FanDuel and get your lineup ready now. Experience season-long wins without season-long waits. Sign up today at FanDuel.com/J to claim your bonus and start playing today. That's FanDuel.com/J. What's the Band-Aid for?
Well, I got my shot today. So the fact that I get to be on Jay Cutler's Uncut podcast today, like this is such a momentous day in my life. Where you don't even know what's in here because I'm so mad. Listen,
September 13th. I mean, you took it a long way.
I did. I didn't want to do it, but I work for a company that mandates it, and I had until September 30th to get it done, or I'm out.
Were you having to get COVID shots like weekly or daily?
A test?
Yeah. If you weren't vaccinated.
I got them all. What's that?
If you weren't vaccinated, did you have to get a COVID test weekly or? No, you're good.
No, because there's so few people on campus right now. We usually have about 5,000 people on ESPN's main campus in Bristol. And I don't know what the number is. It's crept up, but there's not many. And you have 6 feet distance and you have your masks. I think I respect everyone's decision. I really do. Yeah. But to mandate it is sick. And it's scary to me in many ways. But I have a job that I love, and frankly, a job that I need. But again, I love it. I just, I'm not surprised it got to this point, especially with Disney. I mean, a global company like that. But I just, it was actually emotional. And it's funny, everybody else has their, yay, look, and here's my card, and let's, I'm like, you know what? You want to see what my face looked like when I had to do it? So I get it to an extent, but I think the mandate is what I really have an issue with. And I don't know what comes next. But I do know for me personally, I feel like defeated. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's one thing with masks. I don't have a problem with that. It's another thing when you force this, and it hurt. And I'm tough, but like I think she like put it in the muscle and was like,
yes. You're getting
maybe
this
she
shot.
thought I was Candace Owens. I don't know.
Yeah, you're taking this shot. All right, we'll get on something a little bit lighter. Up close with
Should I
Sage.
take this off? Wait, does it look like I'm bragging? Should I take it off?
It does look like you're bragging.
Okay, fine. There we go. Done.
Up close with Sage Steele. New show on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
I saw you had
You
Dak.
did your research.
I saw you had Dak on recently. That was a good one. Got him to choke up a little bit.
That wasn't the goal.
Yeah.
But the goal of the show is conversations.
Yeah.
Because I don't really like interviews. I like conversations.
Yeah.
And like in a conversation, it's okay. You interrupt somebody and you chime in and you keep going or whatever. It's natural, not like question, answer. That first one, there's editing stuff. So I hope it becomes more conversational. But Dak Prescott to me it's the kind of guy I want my daughter to end up with, the human side of him, not the football's great and, whatever. And he's a wonderful leader and human, but like the person that he is and how he's dealt with such adversity. Fortunately, we did have to edit. We were able to edit some because I broke down in the middle of it. And I've seen a lot. I did because of how he handled his brother's suicide and how he found out about it. And when he went into depth about that, I'm like, it's just perspective. Like we're all dealing with stuff, we're all dealing with life stuff and 3 kids and recently divorced, like right? I mean, there's a lot of
it's hard
crap.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, look at what he did, the worst possible with his mother years ago and then his brother. And those are the kind of stories that I want to tell, not necessarily devastation like that, but just like what makes Jay Cutler. It's not Jay Cutler, the football player.
No.
Like that's what everybody knows you as. Yeah. But I think that's what media can do a really bad job of is putting you guys in these boxes.
Yeah.
And so my goal is to just show the other side. So it's a little bit of I wave arguments with the producers. I do because I'm like, no, it's great. They've seen this highlight 56 times. Like, great. But what about this? And something that maybe someday Dak can show his kids. Or I have Jason Tatum with the Celtics coming up next, and no one knows much about Jason. He stays pretty quiet.
So quiet.
Yeah, and what motivates him is really, really cool. And so if guys and women are comfortable enough to go there with their why, like what like my why behind being a sportscaster, it now. It's not that fancy, but people see you on TV and they think, oh my God, look, there's a lot more to it. And there's a lot more to you and Dak and Jay Tatum and everybody else that I hope to get. But it was remember the show with Roy Firestone back in the day, the Up Close show. And I think he did such a great job. That's what this is based on. But just to get a little bit deeper into like what makes you tick, because to me, that's a lot more important than some box score.
Absolutely. And it hasn't been done in a long time. I mean, I feel like there's just interview. And as an athlete, and I'm sure you probably get pigeonholed in this a little bit too. Actually, I know you do. There is a lot more to you, and I'm kind of figuring out what all that stuff is, because you get validated just by playing a sport for so long. It's like you get out of it, and it's like, oh well, what the hell am I gonna do now? Like, what do I want to do? Like, who am I? What does make me tick? So it is. It's pretty cool that you're doing that.
But like, how much of a struggle was that for you? Because I know there's going to be an after for me too, because there's a reason why a lot of people don't leave ESPN, or they do and they come back, because there is some adrenaline that comes with that spotlight, right? And the pressure. For me, it's the pressure. And I know now that I'm best under pressure. And you prove that too, right? Yeah. So then when you step away, how do you find out like what you want to do, or how you're more comfortable? I don't know.
It's tough. It is tough. And it took me a couple of years, if I'm being honest, because I knew I didn't want to just rush into something just to take a job and get halfway into it and be like, you know what, like this isn't for me. And, I didn't want to disappoint somebody in that way of saying, hey, what, I need to walk away for this. So I did take some time, and I talked to a lot of people, and I, heard different job offers, passed on some. And I was like, you know what? I don't know what the hell I want to do, because I've been playing football since I've been 5, and that's all I've done. I wasn't one of those guys that had another business or had this other thought. I mean, it wasn't there. And just getting straight back into football right away didn't seem right, because I just didn't want to be in that same schedule. And you do get to a little point where you're like, damn, like I've got to figure something out. And you do have that pressure, but I think you have to have a little grace with yourself and say, hey, I was 35, 36, like give yourself a little bit of time to figure it out. And, doing these podcasts, I wasn't sure about that either, but there is a little bit of high to it. There is some pressure to it. There is, because doing yours, like we've never met, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. Obviously, she's an unbelievable professional, but maybe I don't ask the right questions. Maybe we have no chemistry, and so walking into it, I was a little anxious. And I was like, all right, here we go. Let's do this. Let's figure it out.
Well, and that's the challenge, but that's what you've done your whole life.
Yeah,
is you figured it out, and I think that's what I've had to say to myself too. Is wait a minute. You've done this, this, and this, and so now you're afraid of this. Mm-hmm. Part of it's good. Like I want those nerves and butterflies. Yeah. Because once they go, then I probably should step away, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yep.
The same thing. Like, weren't you nervous up to the end in the NFL?
Oh yeah, and I mean, like you said, I was anxious, I was nervous, and I mean, and you're right. Like that to me meant it was important to me. If I didn't have that, I might as well just go off and walk away, because I'm doing a disservice to everybody else out there.
Totally. I will say that after a while, you do have to. It's excitement and adrenaline maybe versus nervousness. Nervous makes me feel like I'm afraid. Mm-hmm. I've been afraid a lot before the camera comes on, for sure. But we'll be 60 seconds out. One of the things I found, like right before I go on air, is I'm like an idiot. And I make stupid jokes. And then I'm like, okay, I always chew gum. And so if I can like hurl my gum into the trash can and it makes it, we're good. We're going to have a good show.
Good show.
If not, my co-host Matt's like, oh, Sage, like just leave now. So, and then everybody stresses out because we stand up at the top of the show and we have a big video behind us, and I'll wait till like 20 seconds before, and they're like, where is she? I'm like, guys, I've been here for 15 years. I'm like, I'm going to be there. I need the job and I care, but I want to push myself. And I don't know what it is. It's kind of sick in some ways, but I realized that it does put me at my best. Yeah. So whatever's next, and I don't know what that is, it needs to have something as well with pressure. And I don't know what that is. I do know that there's so much more. Oh my gosh, there's so much more out there. And I have a lot of opinions that I think are just great conversation starters, like what we talked about earlier with the political stuff. And so I feel, there's many times where I feel like boxed in. This is what you have to do and what you have to say, and then shut your mouth and go. But we do have to start thinking about what's next, right?
Yeah,
you can't
absolutely.
You can't be comfortable.
Yeah. I think that you can probably write your ticket on whatever you want to do next. I don't think that's going to be hard for you to do. There's going to be.
I don't know. Okay, will you be my agent? Because I don't know if I.
if your agent's telling you anything different, he's lying. I'm pretty sure you're gonna be just fine. Just. Oh
fine. My God! Thank you. I just, you know what it is? I think because, like, when you're responsible for so many other people.
Yeah.
Between my 3 kids and the freaking alimony I'm paying, like when you're responsible. Sorry, that was inappropriate.
That's all right.
Like, I have to do. I want to do something, but I have to, and so I feel like I can't just be about what I want.
Well, yeah. I mean, you gotta. There's other people involved.
Sure, and I'm not at that financial place where I can just wing it and say, you know what. I'm going to, peace out. Like, I'm going to just figure it out for a couple of years. It's just not what it is. But I think that's one of those things that keeps you going every day, because SportsCenter is SportsCenter. And the best part is that I love my 2 hours on the air every day. I have the best co-host I've ever had in my career. We literally belly laugh in commercial breaks and on TV sometimes, on live TV. And so I love that, and I take that. But then afterwards, it's like, okay, what is next, and how can you transition into something else where, most importantly, I'm making a difference? Because I do feel like that's important for me, and I've been able to live out this crazy dream that nobody said I could ever accomplish, whether it be my wonderful parents who were just scared for their little girl who's like, you want to do what? In the 80s, when I said, they're like, yeah, girls don't do that.
Yeah.
But if you want to, we'll help you. You better have a backup plan. So whether it's my awesome parents or my news directors, my bosses, my peers, my friends, guy friends who are like, love you, Sage, good luck. So I've done it. So now what's next where I can make a difference? And I really think, and I don't know, like, I think that it's going to be something positive. But guys, if we want to have these uncomfortable conversations, and that's what you say we have to have, well, then don't like chop me off at the knees afterwards for having that conversation that we're supposed to have. It's cheesy, but I'm like, can we just be kind? Yeah. And
I mean, I think there's the way the world is now. I mean, there's so many ways of getting, medium out there, and there's so many outlets, and there's so much of everything that I have a feeling that, how centered and how professional and how, great you are. I think you're going to be able to find that outlet and that source that will give you exactly what you need and give you the support and, and let you do exactly what you want to do, would be my guess.
No, thank you. I hope so. And we'll see. I kind of it's that faith thing. Like, I know I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to be homeless. And if I am, then I'll just go in my parents' basement with these 3 kids and this really annoying dog that I have. And like, whatever, I'm not going to die. Yeah. Like, we'll be okay. But I will say this, like, people like you who have faced a ton of adversity and you kept going. You kept going out there every Sunday and had to box out the ESPNs of the world and your guys in Chicago and everywhere. Like, I mean, you probably didn't know this, but there was a lot of people who were, really cheering for you and quietly cheering for you. Like, get them, shut up, these jerks who are saying whatever they want because they're envious or they're insecure. Or they never got out of their off their high school varsity football team, right? And so, but you chose to live a certain way and keep going out there and killing it and doing you and not changing anything about you. To me, that's huge and that's inspiring, and it gives people like me, like, okay, you did it and look at you, you're still standing and you're thriving and you're still evolving, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I mean,
do I sound like a shrink? Do I sound like a total?
You did. It was like a pump up session for me. I loved it. But it is an evolving door, and we're living in an evolving world, as you know. So it's and everyone's changing and everyone's experiencing new things, and that's just kind of what it is. And you're very centered, and you're where you are, and how you say the things you say that's going to be open to a lot of people. And I think you're going to open some eyes, and you're gonna help some people out, which is what you want to do, and what the world needs to do, huh?
No, thank you. I hope so. But one of the keys, and I know you know this better than I do, you got to be okay with not being liked.
100%.
And I'm finally there.
Yeah.
But no, but I didn't know that's hard.
But where you stand and what you believe in and everything about you, like, there's going to be so many more people that are behind you than against you. Just some of the ones that are against you are going to be really loud and really annoying. But trust me, like, you're going to have a very strong backing, extremely strong backing.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to this, and if everyone hates me, then it's your fault.
Blame me. That's no problem. Absolutely. Sage, it's been an absolute pleasure. You've been great. I wish you the best of luck with Up Close with Sage Steele. Everyone watch that on ESPN Plus. With taking care of your children, and keeping them out of harm's way. I know that's probably a full-time job other than the other stuff you have, but you've been great. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank God for wine, right? Like, I'm not an alcoholic or anything, but just like, sometimes I take like half a glass of red wine, and I can handle anything with these kids.
Oh yeah, I saw you were having one. I was like, gosh, I think I'm probably gonna have to have some wine tonight when I get home. I mean, it's gonna have to get me through it.
Literally in commercial breaks, a couple of days a week, I'm like, Okay, this is how it's going to be today.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yep.
And I just literally, that's why I'm in my bedroom, embarrassing. Because I just moved in. But there's not much that's like organized downstairs.
Yeah.
My wine fridge is stocked. Like,
No,
there's priorities in life, right?
Absolutely. You got to get that going.
But Jay, thank you for having me on. I know you have a million people that you can choose from, so it means a lot. And congrats on this. This is a big deal.
I appreciate it.
Welcome to the dark side.
Oh, I know. I'd never thought I'd do it, but here we are.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sage.
Hope to meet you soon.
Okay, that's a wrap. Episode 6, Sage. Can't thank her enough. She was amazing. So much fun. Likes, dislikes. If you have somebody that you want us to put on the podcast, also give us that. Hope everyone has a good week. Hope everyone enjoys it, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.